You are listening to a Portsmouth studio production. It's time for another episode of M&M Question Everything, where nothing is taboo, from Bigfoot to politics. Join your hosts, Matt Peters and Mark DeBruin, broadcasting live from Portsmouth Studios in cloudy New York. Here is M&M Question Everything.
You heard the man. That's us.
Here we are.
That's our new intro. Thanks, the guy that made it. So, you heard, that's the new intro.
Ta-da.
You like it?
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of good feedback on it from my mom. She seemed to like it. So, as the guy said, I'm Matt Peters. That's Mark DeBruin,
Here I am.
whose name I didn't know how to pronounce until a week ago when I asked him.
Yeah, it's pretty fancy. I don't know.
Secretly, behind the scenes, I tricked him because I didn't tell him about the promo because it's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Nice surprise.
I don't want to be tooting anybody's horn, but I will toot some horns. So here we are. It's actually sunny in New York today.
One of those rare days, yeah.
One of those rare days. Episode 6. We got through our milestone episode 5 last week without Mark, unfortunately. Did not like it. I mean, the episode was good, but I did not like doing it by myself.
It was a good episode. I was fighting the floodwaters of New York.
Yeah.
But
boy.
We won.
Oh, boy.
Oh, was it back? No.
Here it comes.
No.
And floodwater's coming. So did you have a fun time down there? Probably not that much fun. Working hard?
It was very muddy. Lots of mud.
Muddy. Muddy waters.
Muddy waters, that's
A
right.
lot of blues singers down there?
Not anymore.
No?
They floated away.
Oh, boy. They're going to get their rafts.
Fresh start.
Get your rafts together, guys. There's a lot of damage down there. They had,
Yeah.
like, parking lots were sinkholes and lots of crazy stuff was going on.
Yeah, it was wacky.
Did you fall in any holes or anything?
Thanks, Obama. No,
Oh.
didn't fall in any holes.
Okay.
There's plenty of mud, though.
Yeah.
It's pretty muddy.
Well, do you know anybody down there? Is that where you just went because you're a nice guy?
No, families down there. Had to dig them out.
Mm.
There were a lot of gawkers, though, which I found interesting. I didn't know that was a thing.
Gawkers.
But apparently when there's natural disasters, people don't go there to help. They go there just to look, which is interesting.
That's rude.
Just throw the kids in the back of the pickup truck and drive around taking selfies.
Yeah, at least you could do is get out and pick up something.
You'd think, right?
Just something.
Nope. Just taking pictures.
Jerks.
Jerks.
You guys are jerks.
Thanks for nothing.
All of you that are not picking up stuff are jerks. Anything else going on last week?
Man. Nope.
No. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Work's pretty slow.
Yeah.
So they've been trying to find stuff for us to do at work. They send us downtown to move boxes. So I did that all day, pretty much this week, moving boxes.
That's my whole industry is moving boxes.
Hey, you work in a box factory?
Logistics. Yeah.
Well, maybe they're hiring if you want to get some box moving. You're pretty good at boxes already. So there's another cool thing that we got along with our intro.
Ooh.
Well, later there's an outro.
Oh.
I'll play that later.
But you can't have an intro without an outro.
Yeah, it would be weird. But there's also something else that I'll play for you now. It's called the promo.
Ooh.
So if anybody's listening to us and they want to promote us, this is it. Send us an email, and I'll send you this, and you can play it because it's cool.
Whoa.
1, 2, 3, go.
Are you looking for a new podcast that stimulates your mind while tickling your funny bone? Then head over to question-everything.net and download M&M Question Everything, the new and noteworthy podcast that has critics saying things like, "Good job," and "I liked it." With rave reviews like that, what are you waiting for? Find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, streaming online, and anywhere else podcasts exist. M&M Question Everything, a podcast that doesn't take sides.
Boom. That just happened.
I would listen to that.
That happened right now. It's happening.
You heard it here first?
Well, yeah, they did. Nobody else has played it yet. But they will. Because I heard if you build it, they come.
You know, I have heard that before.
Yeah, I think we're building it.
It's very sound advice.
It's built. Consider it built. So last week, you didn't listen to the episode. That's okay. I'm calling you out. Last week I talked about a thing we're doing that without talking to you first, because that's how I roll. I just make decisions. I'm a man.
Yeah.
do what I want.
Artistic direction.
But we had Body Mind Float Center guy Dave
Dave's a cool guy.
Brickman, yeah, that's his name, in a couple weeks ago. Listen to that episode because it's cool. There is a Living Social coupon right now for the Body Mind Float Center. You get 3 salt room therapy visits for $30.
Not bad.
Pretty good deal. Check that out. But that's not what we were talking about or what I was talking about. We are giving away dun, 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 dun,
No way.
$20 worth of float bucks to the Body Mind Float Center. But the caveat, if you listened last week, Mark,
Mm-hmm.
we're only doing it on the show.
Only on the show.
So you got to call in.
Ooh, so I would not have won.
No. So if you want to get the $20 gift card to Body Mind Float Center in Rochester, New York on Park Avenue, you got to call us. I'm not going to put it on Facebook, not going to put it on Twitter, not going to tell anybody about it. In my personal life, it's just for you guys, just for the loyal fans.
Secret.
That like the. Is it secret?
Well,
is it safe?
No.
No.
It's wide open.
It's in my wallet, actually. It's pretty
well-known
safe.
secret.
So, you guys got to call in on our Skype line, or if you know our personal numbers, you can always call that.
Ooh, yeah.
But probably friends and family shouldn't be allowed, or family probably shouldn't be allowed. I don't know. There's got to be some sort of rule. It can't be chaos. This is America.
Yeah. We have rules here.
But our Skype information is always available on our website, but it's just our email address, which is questioneverythingnet@gmail.com. So you can call us during the show and talk to us for a while. And if we like you, if we like the cut of your jib, your jib, send us a picture of your jib. Hi-yo.
Oh, here we go.
We will give you $20.
That's not why we started this podcast, but that would be a fringe benefit, huh?
Hey. So $20 for you and a fun call for us. Hopefully. If you're not fun, you're not getting the $20. So
yeah, come on.
You got to put something up there. We're not doing this for charity. Seems like it sometimes.
It's for the betterment of society. Come on.
For the betterment. The betterment. So I got a cool email from a guy that wants to do a game. He's promoting a game that they made.
Ooh.
I don't remember the name of the business, but I could find it, but I'm lazy. He wants to come on our show and play the game with us.
Ooh.
But it's a couples game. So we got to schedule it where your lady's available and my lady's available, and then we'll play the game.
Is this like a board game, or is this?
It's like the Newlywed Game,
okay,
kind of thing.
So he's gonna ask difficult questions that I'm gonna fail at.
Yes,
and it's gonna adversely affect my relationship.
I already asked him, please ask questions that are not going to get us in trouble, and he said, okay.
He is gonna do the exact opposite of that.
Probably, but I said this is a family show, so no sexual questions.
Yeah, come on,
allowed.
Seriously.
So it should be good. But that'll be, he wanted to do it this weekend, but, things are a little tight. So he didn't really have a room in our schedule this weekend.
We're pretty tightly booked.
Yeah. Things are hopping. Things are popping. We actually had a lot of downloads this week on David Brickman. The Body Mind episode's still doing really well.
Great episode. A lot of good information.
Yeah. And then the Alex episode from last week is doing very well as well. That's a lot of wells. There's somebody poisoned the water hole. Oh, that's not a well. It could be a well. Water hole and a well, same thing. So today we have a guest calling in, or I guess we're calling him. It's getting called. There's going to be a call going on. His name is 10 Rose, also known as Doug. Quotation mark 10. Quotation mark? Quotes? In quotes?
Close quote.
Close quote?
Close
quote. 10 apparently is not his real name, but it's in quotes. So I'll probably call him Doug until he says, hey, my name's Doug. We're 10.
Hey. How about Dougie Fresh?
Dougie Fresh. Dougie Rose in the house. Hopefully he's available because on his Skype it says away. But we'll call him and maybe he'll wake up. He wrote a couple books on reincarnation and Buddhist stuff. He's not actually a Buddhist himself. I read a little bit of his bio, but he spent some time with Buddhist monks, and he's lived a life. He's lived a life. Drug dealer, heroin addict, hitchhiked across America with lesbians, and he looks like he's up in his 50s, maybe. Lived a life. So he'll have some interesting stories to tell us about, hopefully. Because if he's not interesting, we're going to hang up on him. That's what we do.
It's been rumored that he had the original Coke.
The original one?
Before the new Coke. Wow. Yeah, he's seen some things.
He's seen some things. Coke Classic? Or Coke Original?
A Coke Original. Yeah.
Whoa, with actual Coke in it. Nice. It's good stuff. We're going to call him in a couple minutes. Oh, he's not away anymore, but he still hasn't replied to my message.
He's anxiously awaiting our call.
Oh, boy, a quick scan has started. Oh. I don't want to do a quick scan. AdAware?
No. But
I do love AdAware because they're a good product.
Are you aware of the ads?
I'm aware.
AdAware is.
It's good to be aware of ads. We're not ready yet. I guess we're going to be going. Here we go.
Here we go.
Hello?
Hi, Mom. I'm home. Did you miss me?
I think you got the wrong number, sir.
All right.
How you doing? Just want to let you know we are live, so be careful what you say.
Okay.
This is...
by the way, speaking of that live thing, what is the language restriction? Should I not say fuck or...
Please,
does
sir.
It matter? Or...
Please, sir. This is a family show. This is a fucking family show.
All right.
No, it's okay. Just do whatever you want.
All right, cool.
This is Doug 10 Rose. Do you like to be called 10?
Yeah, 10.
10. Okay.
10. It's short for Tens and... Are we on already?
We are on. Yeah, we're going.
Hey. All right. Well, it's short for Tenzin Karma Trinley.
Wow.
When you go through certain Buddhist initiations, they give you a name to live up to. And I did this in like 1980 or something, or early 80s. And they always give you a name to live up to, It's never like asshole who pukes on his own shoes or idiot who walks into walls. They always give you some kind of name to aspire to. So Tenzin Karma Trinley means the activity of the Buddha teaching. And I kept that because there's only so stupid you could be walking around with a name like that.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of helps as a device to sort of reel me in, So that's why I go by the 10, because that's a shortened version. Obviously, Tenzin Karma Trinley is too long for people to remember. So
appreciate that. Can you give us some Buddhist names before we're done? I want to.
Sure, I don't have the authority, but you do. You can pick your own.
Oh, cool.
Go right ahead.
I don't know how to do that. I'm not qualified.
I would like to make attainable goals, like guy who can make it happen.
There you go.
That's generic enough.
Yeah.
Man who can make it happen. There you go. That's a good name.
What is it?
It could be.
That's another question. You could call one of you it, and you could call the other one man who can make it happen.
Oh boy, that's another show.
Yeah, that's right. Never mind.
So you are the author of books, but you don't call yourself an author. It's just kind of a means to an end because your charity is more of your main focus, right?
Actually, that's true. I wrote these books I accidentally wrote a couple of real good books according to what people tell me. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But it has like 23 5-stars and 1 4-star or something for reviews on Amazon. So I guess people like the books. I wish they'd buy more of them, but it seems that the ones who have bought them and read them like them. But no, it's all about the project to raise funds for wisdom teachers and wisdom professionals, because anybody who's read a newspaper, it's kind of obvious that there's a little bit too much stupidity, ignorance, selfishness, greed, not enough of wisdom in the world. And you can be smart, intelligent, clever, crafty, whatever, and still step on a homeless person on your way to the country club or whatever. But if you got any degree of wisdom, you really can't do that, because wisdom and compassion and love are all really wrapped in the same skin. So the whole idea behind all this, and I don't know if you looked at the website or not, but there's a bunch of other projects that I've done over the years that have involved governors and senators and rock stars and pro sports teams and all of this shit. But I got to noticing that the whole root cause of all these other things, I did one for an orphanage for homeless folks, African famine relief. The root cause of all these things is a lack of wisdom in the world. Because if there was any appreciable degree of wisdom running through the general population, none of this other shit would happen, because you can't be wise and like allow this to happen to other people. Because, I mean, after a while, to a certain extent, you start realizing that there really are no other people. We're all really kind of the same person. Even though, I mean, without getting too spacey, esoteric, and full of shit about it, I mean, we are individual egos and individual bodies, of course. But the bigger picture, it's really all one big human entity here. And the sooner that gets realized, which is going to take more wisdom than knowledge. I mean, you could know shit and then not put it to any practical use. But when the wisdom develops, I think a lot of these other problems will fix themselves, which is why I'm making this my last project. I've been doing these kind of projects forever, but I think this is the wrap it up one, because whatever little bit of dent I could put in human stupidity, I hope will snowball and go away. So yeah, it's a long answer to a short question, but yeah, the books were kind of an accident. They're the funding vehicles for this project, actually.
Yeah. So your Wisdom Professionals is kind of is the name of the organization?
No. There's by wisdom professionals, I mean anybody who has devoted their lives to this sort of activity, starting with Tibetan Buddhist monks and nuns and other Buddhist monks and nuns, because I have firsthand experience with people like this. I actually lived in a temple quite by accident. That's another story. That's in the second book. We'll get to that in a minute if you want. But yeah, wisdom professionals is anybody who is devoting themselves to the pursuit of wisdom, helping other people understand it better. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Buddhist monk or a nun, but those are the people that I have, you know, primary experience with. So starting there first, South American shamans, anybody in any of the old wisdom traditions, and or new, you know. That's actually, you know, not just spouting new age bullshit to collect some money off of somebody, but to actually get something done in a matter of educating people in compassion, in emotional intelligence. I mean, where the fuck are these things in the schools? You know, sure. I mean, we got reading, writing, arithmetic, and you turn out a bunch of idiots who want to go bomb strangers they never met because they've been basically brought up on video games and ignorance. You know, so anybody who's like a real good teacher that's going to point something in a different direction than the way it's been going qualifies, in my eyes, as a wisdom professional. Doesn't really have to be a monk, a nun, a shaman, or whatever. So that's what I want to raise all the funds for, is to, you know, sponsor more and more of these people and build the facilities where if somebody wants to come do this, they don't have to say, hey, I can't do it because I got to go, you know, make enough money to pay the rent, blah, 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 whatever the problem is. And if they want to go and get deeper into the wisdom profession, into the wisdom teaching, into wisdom learning, then they can do it.
Well, it sounds attractive. I'm up for it.
All right. Help me sell some books, dude. You're on it.
Sometimes, do you consider yourself a wisdom professional, or are you just raising money to help them out?
Nah, I don't consider myself a wisdom professional. As a matter of fact, there's very few people in the world who have done stupider things than I have. I mean, I am one of the dumbest motherfuckers that ever lived. I have actually killed myself. Not too many people are that stupid. Admittedly, I've learned a lot over the past 40 years since that happened. And by virtue of experience and contact with other wisdom teachers, I've become quite a bit smarter than I was, and quite a bit more compassionate and quite a bit more understanding of what goes on in the world. But that, and really, it's addressed pretty well in the books, and there's nothing I can say that'll pound this point home strongly enough. If somebody as stupid and crazy, well, I never really was stupid, I was crazy though. If somebody as crazy as I used to be could come around and get a little bit smarter just by virtue of contact with these wisdomous people, with the teachers, monks, nuns, people you meet on the street. It could be the person in front of you in line in the supermarket, for crying out loud. That'll teach you a lesson if you're ready to learn something. But anybody could do it. I mean, if I'm still alive and functioning on the level I'm functioning on, which is a lot more stable and intelligent than I used to be, for sure, because I've already been pronounced dead and brought back by a second shot of adrenaline from overdoses. And that's, I don't even think that's the stupidest thing I've ever done, you know. but the point being that if I could make that kind of a leap, really, there's nobody with an excuse to be able to say, oh, I can't do that. I'm not capable enough. I'm only my one little me and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not that bright. My IQ isn't that high. Nonsense. Because I am the perfect example of how anybody can come from any depth and raise themselves up by virtue of just paying attention to the right stuff instead of paying attention to the wrong stuff, by making a conscious decision that they want to do something better and move in a better direction than the shit they've been fed at birth. I mean, because let's face it, I mean, everything they've told us since birth is a lie. You know, not everything, but you go to schools, churches, government, certainly. There's been so many lies just pumped into our system. You watch the TV, constantly trying to sell you something that you don't need. Ever see an ad for duct tape? Yeah. No, you haven't. No, you never will either, because people actually need that. And TV is designed to sell us shit that we don't need, and they use all that violent programming to pump up the adrenaline so that people are all jacked up to pay attention to the commercial messages, you know. It's a bunch of fucking nonsense. So, all right, so that's what the project is all about, really. I mean, the books came about as a funding vehicle. It turns out that they contain some of the wisdom that I got from all these teachers that I met along the way. I mean, but basically they're a funding vehicle for the project. And the first one, Fearless Puppy on American Road, is about hitchhiking around the country for 40 years. Well, 35 maybe. But and that one shows in a lot of places that, I mean, there's a lot of Tibetan Lamas, Native American wise men, and that kind of stuff within the 80 individual chapters of people I've met on the road. But there's a lot of winos and junkies and hookers too, and that just like come into contact with by getting picked up hitchhiking by them. And you learn something from these people. I mean, there's another main point of the books and the project itself. It doesn't have to be an actual, you know, professor or monk or nun or whatever. Somebody in the supermarket standing in the line in front of you, I just said, or whatever, could be just a person who would say something that'd trip or trigger in your brain. I mean, the old expression is the quality of attention paid by the student is more important than who the teacher is. And everybody's a student, and everybody's a teacher too, to a certain extent. So if you're paying attention to what's going on around you, then you can learn from anybody and anything. So that's what Fearless Puppy is. It's about all those travels and the people that I met and the lessons learned and stuff. And it's pretty entertaining because there's a lot of sex and drugs and rock and roll that happened during those 30, 35 years. So it's certainly very, very far from being a boring book. The second one, Reincarnation Through Common Sense, is similar, but quite a bit different. There's not a bunch of sex and drugs and rock and roll in there, although it's kind of entertaining also, people tell me. That's about living in a temple in Southeast Asia for a half a year. Oh, excuse me. Missed my morning joint.
Not me.
Yeah. Well, I didn't do it because I figured I could talk to you guys who wanted to stay a little bit clear, but it always hurts my throat when I don't smoke in the morning. So, the reincarnation through common sense, talking about, I was talking before about coming from the depths of stupidity and craziness. I was over in Southeast Asia and just playing around, having a great old time, decided I'd get married, got taken advantage of. You have no recourse there, and decided that I'd pour alcohol on the situation to help it out. Well, as we well know by now, that only works for so long, and it's not a very long time at that. So after a while, I was just like gonzo and approaching suicidal again. And luckily, a friend of mine knew a head monk, excuse, in this rural village where these people, dirt paths, and they lived in hut like they lived 1,000 years ago or something. So he brings me out there, knows how to translate the language. I didn't speak a word of it. And the monk spoke very limited English, and nobody else at the temple spoke any English. So we got to talking, and the guy said, look, the head monk said, you come stay here and consider me your older brother and consider the other monks and nuns like your brothers and sisters. You don't have to do any of the Buddhist stuff if you don't want to, that we do, the meditating, the different things. You can do whatever you want that you want to do there. In relation to that. And I did end up doing some of it, especially the walking around begging for food in the morning. That was a pisser. That was great. But so he said, you can stay. And basically they adopted me. And they kept me there for half a year. Now, during this whole time I was there, the head monk traveled a lot because he was in demand all over the country. He was a pretty popular guy. And the other monks and nuns didn't speak any English at all. And I didn't speak a word of the language there, which is very difficult for Westerners to speak Asian languages. They got all sorts of inflections within the same word and everything is rough. So I couldn't learn too much of that. And I just ended up staying there for a half a year. And the effect that experience had on me, I mean, I went in there pretty close to dead. I was in physically terrible shape from all the drinking, being stressed out and losing everything that I had. I mean, I literally had no money in my pocket, no plane ticket back to America. Not that I felt there was any use in going back to America because I was depressed about that. So this whole book, Reincarnation Through Common Sense, is not about reincarnation in the sense of dying and coming back in another body. I mean, who the fuck knows if that happens? And maybe not. I don't know. But it's in the sense of that every time you have a thought, every time you have a new experience, every time you perform an action, you're kind of a new person. You're kind of the person you were with that as an addition. And at any minute in your life, I mean, I get a very sad kind of kick out of people who say, oh, I'm stuck here and this is all I can do. It's ridiculous because I can get up right now and go find a bell tower and a rifle and start becoming a sniper and knocking people off. Or I can get up right now and go out and start picking poor people up off the street and feeding them and become another Mother Teresa. There's nothing stopping me from doing this. Now, of course, there are complications. What am I going to do with the mortgage, the rent, and the kids? But yeah, I know everybody's got complications in their life that they have to work around. But to a certain extent, people have a lot more freedom of movement. They're trapped in this conditioning that tells them that this is the way it is, which is one of my least favorite expressions in the world. When people just say, "Oh, that's just the way it is." There's no such fucking thing as that's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. That's the way it is because you choose to keep yourself there. All right? Sure. But so I stayed at that temple for a half a year and got the idea of this reincarnation through common sense, in the sense not of dying and being reborn, but again, of just making a new you out of yourself, reinventing yourself, if you will, whenever you like. And it pretty much happened. I mean, that half a year there pretty much cemented in my mind this idea of just how powerful contact with people. I mean, we couldn't speak the same language, being the monks and the nuns. And just by the atmosphere, just by the general, I hate to say vibe, it's such a hackneyed phrase, but just by the atmosphere and the place, just by being around people like that who are all pointed in the right direction, and their job description is to try to make everybody in the world and every living thing happier. That's what their motivation is. That's their literal job description. And when they go on living like that and you're around them, that kind of stuff rubs off on you, which is what makes me think that eventually, if enough of this kind of sentiment gets pushed out into the world, albeit in waves and where it's going to take a while, of course, it ain't going to happen tomorrow or in my lifetime, but bits by bits, if it gets built up, the possibility exists that things can get turned around on the planet. I mean, right now it looks like shit. Everybody's killing each other, and diseases and the paranoia that's fed to us through the media and everything else. But there certainly is potential. I'm not pessimistic or optimistic because it's all up to us humans, and who the hell knows which way it's going to go.
Yeah, well, small incremental changes over a course of a long period of time will make that switch over to where we'd like to be. Making those small choices, like you said, common sense, reincarnation, things grow as you make those small little changes. Is there anything you can recommend to people that they can do now to, like, little small things, not like totally throw everything away and go backpack across America, but like small things they can do in their daily life that would start to move themselves in the right direction that they want to be heading?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the first and most important thing would be sit down and shut the fuck up. All right? 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. Don't think about anything. Just sit there, stare at a wall. Watch your breathing. Breathe from your bottom of your feet to the top of your head. And from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. You got 5 minutes? We can give a quick example of how powerful this can be if you got 5 minutes that we could use here.
We're going to do meditation on the radio?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I know it's a little strange and it's not the same as doing it in person, but nonetheless, this can make a profound difference in a person's life because everybody's always trying to fit 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. It ain't going to happen. Always trying to pack all these things into their lives. They start moving too fast. And that's when a lot of the mistakes are made, when folks are moving too fast and not really paying attention. They're not really mindful is the common expression for it now. Not really mindful, not really paying attention to what they're doing. All right, so it helps, even if only to do this for 5 minutes in the morning. And 5 minutes in the evening would be good too. But make it 10. I guarantee once anybody starts doing this, they'll stretch it out because it's so pleasant and it's so obviously helpful. You can see pretty much right away just what a positive influence it has on your state of mind to get you relaxed. All right? Don't listen to anything but the sound of my voice, please, whoever, if you're out there in radio land and the M&Ms. All right? Breathe from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head and down. Now, of course, you only have lungs in the middle there. We know that, but just picture it. Picture that breath as coming up from the bottom of your body all the way to the top, up the back, and then down the front. Breathe out. All right. In from the bottom to the top, and out to the bottom. And in. Now, you're not sucking the air in like a vacuum cleaner. All right, this is like the air is actually breathing you. Think of it that way, okay? Because you're not sucking in and pushing out. It's sort of the air breathes you to the top of your head, and then you push it out slowly, not poof like a balloon emptying out all at once. A balanced, slow in to the top of the head, and out to the bottom of the feet. All right? And there's nothing else. There's the breath and the sound of my voice. That's it. Up to the top of your head, down to the bottom of your feet. All right? Not sucking in or pushing out, but just balanced and level. Up to the top of your head, down to the bottom of your feet. Now, you're listening to nothing but the sound of my voice. Are you listening to my voice?
Yes, sir.
All right, now turn your attention to the one who's doing the listening. Feel that? That thing in there, that's where it is. I mean, I don't know if you got it. Kind of difficult in 2 minutes over the radio like this. But the point is that if you do that, you know, for a few minutes by yourself and you get the feel of it and you turn your attention to the person who's actually listening to the voice, or to turn your attention to the person who's watching the breath, that's you in there. Yeah. All right? Without all the interference, without the, I got to be there at this time, I got to do this, who's dropping bombs on what, and how am I going to pay for that, and what's he saying about me around the corner, and what should I say about, and all this other bullshit, you know? Mm-hmm. And if you get to that state, and the more you practice, the more you actually can like get up from the chair and hold on to a bit of that state of stability and levelness there. And at that point, you start making much better decisions during the course of the day. All right? Because you're not coming from a place of all scattered and wondering where you're going to go, how you're going to do, blah, blah, blah. You're thinking about, I mean, it's the old expression, you can't put 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. Mm-hmm. And it's, you know, you only have 100% of a mind. Multitasking is a very popular thing nowadays. To a certain limited extent, it can accomplish things, but by and large, it sucks because you got 100% of a mind. If you're thinking about 10 things at once, do the fucking math. How much of your brain is going to be on any one particular thing?
Right.
And, you know, so if you like unify yourself like that and get yourself all in one place, just like being there, and paying attention to that breathing and to the one who's paying attention to the breathing, then it makes for much better decision making during the course of the day. And of course, that's where everything else comes from. Once you make a good decision, then you start making better actions and you start having better relationships, and things start falling into place a whole lot more constructively than they do if you're just running around all jacked up and trying to do 2,000 things at once. That's not even possible to do it, you know?
Mm-hmm. When you were in the temple, did you learn any of the chants and stuff, those really cool chants they do?
I actually learned a lot. That was in Southeast Asia, and I actually, before and after that, got a lot more into the Tibetan Buddhism, which is a little different. I mean, all of Buddhism is basically the same. But I learned some of the mantras, and matter of fact, I did a bunch of them this morning right before getting on with you here.
Yeah.
And they're pretty cool. The important thing to remember about these things, like Chenrezig, for example, Biavalokiteshvara, and the Indian Vedantic, but in Tibetan Chenrezig, Kuan Yin in Chinese, it's the god of compassion kind of thing, all right? And nobody really thinks, or nobody should anyways, that there's a 1,000-armed blue guy living in the sky who's pissing down compassion on people. I mean, all these mantras, all these chants are designed to instill the quality of that symbolic deity in you. I mean, it all comes down to individual human responsibility. And this is where a lot of the Western religion is fucked up. Alan Watts put it pretty well, where he said the problem with a lot of conventional religion is that people see the finger pointing the way, and instead of following it, they suck on the finger for comfort, you know? Mm-hmm. And that is the problem with a lot of our religion. Whereas the fact of the matter is that there's usually a deity, a symbolic figure associated with any of those chants you're thinking of. There's a blue medicine Buddha guy, and there's the chant that goes along with that in particular words that are the medicine Buddha mantra or chant. There's the compassion guy, Chenrezig, and there's certain words that go with a certain image. These are all things just to help you picture it. It's not like this creature exists in outer space and is dancing on a cloud or something, you know, right, up there and peeing down wisdom on people. It's supposed to be that you're repeating these phrases in order to instill and using these symbols in order to embed that in your own character. You're supposed to become that God, you know? You're not supposed to, like, wait for it to come out of heaven and do shit, which is a lot of why the world is as screwed up as it is. Everybody's waiting for somebody to come and save them. I got bad news for you, folks. There's somebody who's supposed to come and save you has no place to land, all right? We got to provide a landing pad for that energy. All right. And it doesn't come in like an embodied human form. There's no big white guy with a long white beard up there shaking his finger at us, telling us be good. And there's no 1,000-armed blue guy who's going to rain down compassion on people. You got to take it in. I mean, not everybody can see using these vehicles. I do. But George Carlin said, consider these things symbols, and I leave them for the simple-minded, you know, which I can understand that too. But nonetheless, the symbols do serve a purpose as a communication device with these sorts of energies that supposedly are all within each of us all the time. It's just a matter of tuning to that station, which is a good analogy. You got a radio, you got one station's got country music, and one station's got rock, and one station's got talk. Well, what do you want to do? You know, you tune to that, and all the compassion and kindness and everything else, all the good stuff, as well as all the bad stuff, is out there. It's what you tune to. If you're going to spend your whole day playing video games that kill people, then you're going to be able to go overseas and kill real people and think nothing of it, right? Because that's your tuning, right? And if you spend all day watching Mother Teresa videos, you're going to be a lot more prone to going out and helping somebody in trouble, and so on and so forth, you know, and anything else you practice. If you're on a musical instrument, you know, you don't learn that thing just by looking at it. You pick it up, you start practicing, and you practice every day, and you get better at it. And that's how it happens. So, yeah, to answer your question, I do know some of the words to some of the songs. Yeah. But they're not going to, like, magically bring any thing to me unless I put the work in and use it and not only picture what those words are saying, but also picture myself taking on those qualities and spreading them out to people. At the end of every mantra prayer thing, any service that you go to in Buddhist, there's a dedication thing at the end. You'll never go to one. I don't care, Southeast Asian, Tibetan, whatever. You'll never go to a meditation thing or a mantra thing or whatever where there's no dedication at the end. All right, if it's a genuine Buddhist service. Because once you get done with it, you dedicate all that, any merit that you may have gained by doing this to the whole world, to every living thing, that. So it keeps you from becoming too egotistical, thinking, oh, I'm going to do all this stuff and I'm going to become real cool and then I'll make a lot of money or whatever you're starting to think about there, whatever way a person's mind runs. But there's always a dedication at the end that should go out, that whatever you've earned by putting in that practice goes out. And of course, is prevalent in so many schools of thought and religions and philosophies. Once you give it out, then something else real good drops in.
Okay. So are you a supporter of Buddhism as the faith to go to, or is it just any?
No,
as long as you can find something.
Yeah, but I mean, I do it, but I've also done all the others. And I think the faith to go to is whatever trips your trigger. And again, it comes back to the old saying, the quality of attention paid by the student is more important than who the teacher is. I mean, you get some Muslims are just incredibly wonderful people. Muhammad himself was a vegetarian who meditated in the mountains. And on the hilt of his sword, he had the inscription, "Tell the truth even if it's against yourself." All right, and stuff like that. Be compassionate and all of this. So assholes have taken his stuff and twisted it around, but it's only a few fundamentalists that have done this. There's basically nothing wrong with the faith itself, well, except that they're all make-believe, but that's another story. But and Christianity as well. I mean, obviously, Jesus was very much into the compassion thing and all the right stuff. But you get these assholes who will use Christianity as an excuse for bombing strangers they never met so they could steal their oil. Mm-hmm. It's just a fucking lie, So I like a lot of where the Buddhism goes, and I've been studying with these guys for a long time. And I had my life rescued by Buddhist monks and nuns, and they kept me there for half a year. So I'm more into that right now than the other religions, but I certainly have read up quite a bit on the other ones, and there are good things to be offered by all of them, as long as you don't concretize the symbols, which is the main problem in any religion, But as long as you don't confuse perception with objective reality, all right? Mm-hmm. You can be sure that if your God hates the same people you do, that God was created in your image and not the other way around.
Yeah, interesting.
All right?
Yeah.
But any of these religions have potential. It's just that people go and fuck up the potential.
Yeah, it's like anything can be corrupted with the right person in charge.
Right.
You see the Inquisition and the Crusades and things like that.
Exactly. There's a perfect example. You got the Inquisitions and the Crusades, but then you got Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
All right. These all came out of Catholicism. Mm-hmm. All right. So that's a perfect example of it, I mean, everything looks good until people get a hold of it.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. I mean, look on paper, capitalism looks great, communism looks great, socialism, everything looks great.
Sure.
Then you get people involved and they fuck it all up. So the problem is not the systems or the religions or the economic or political systems or anything else. The change has to be made in people. And it's got to be made in the individual people. Look, an ocean is only made up of the drops that are in it. You can't go yell at the ocean, oh, you're dirty, clean yourself up, you filthy fucking ocean, you're no good, blah, blah. Well, it's a big-ass ocean. You got to take it a drop at a time, and if each individual, and that's the whole point of this wisdom-y thing I'm trying to do with using the books for profits to help sponsor more wisdom teachers, if each individual drop in that ocean starts cleaning itself up, then the ocean will become clean. Nobody's going to wave a magic wand and poof, all of a sudden we're going to be smarter and we're not going to hurt each other and we're going to be nicer to each other. We've got to evolve from being assholes into being what humans can potentially be. Yeah. Admittedly, we've come a long way already, but we certainly have a very long way to go.
That's got to be very hard for Americans, at least. They've been used to getting things done for them for so many years, and there's waiting for somebody to take care of it. You know,
yeah.
You fix it, and I'll be here when it's fixed.
Yeah, and you always got somebody on the TV who's going to sell you the solution if you just make the money. So then our new religion in America has become money.
Yeah.
You know, we're not like Catholics or Jews or Protestants anymore. The religion in America is money. Mm-hmm. And that's what the system is that, as you say, people are so used to having things done for them that they just go bust their ass to get the money. And I grew up in a mafia neighborhood in Brooklyn, and people used to go kill folks on Saturday and then go to the church and try to buy off God with a stained glass window. Mm-hmm. You got to be fucking kidding me.
That doesn't work.
You know,
I got to buy a stained glass window.
Yeah. Hey, I got God a nice stained glass window. He don't mind that I whacked Rocco, you know. It's okay. Yeah, he understands. It's only business. It's only business. And that phrase is a famous mafia phrase, nothing personal, it's only business. Mm-hmm. But that attitude has so permeated the entire country over the past 50 years that it's really sad, you know, because that used to be a criminal attitude, and now it's kind of taken for granted as a standard business attitude, you know. It's nothing personal, it's only business, and that gives you a license to do all these nasty things, according to people. So I think business has to be redefined as well as a number of other things. But again, you know, I think the wisdom is the key to all this from what I've seen, because I've done several other projects, as I mentioned. They're all at the website. If anybody wants to go to www.fearlesspuppy.org, Fearless Puppy is spelled just like it sounds. And besides a lot of interviews there and buy buttons to the books and sample chapters of both books, there's newspaper articles of previous projects that I've done, and, you know, to raise awareness and funds for different causes. And again, if you look through like one of them, then that particular cause stands out. You look through another one, that cause stands out. But by the time you get through looking through 3 or 4 of them, you figure out that, like, hey, if people were just generally a little bit wiser, they'd be fixing all these fucking problems in one fell swoop, just by what comes along with wisdom, what gets carried in that same boat, you know. So
when you talk about wisdom, that's definitely a core element in your beliefs and everything you want to do. Wisdom is like the main thing.
Because I don't think that there's a difference really between wisdom and love and compassion. All right, wisdom will connote that we really all are the same person and we're all one big humanity to an even greater extent than we are these individual little selfish people. Mm-hmm. And you have to have people say you got to erase the ego. That's bullshit. You need your ego to survive. That's who we are walking around in these bodies, is our egos. But you have to transcend the ego anyways, you know. I don't believe in like that destroy it kind of stuff. But you got to transcend it and realize that there's one big humanity. We're all here together, and everybody is so completely dependent on other people for what you wear, for clothes, for what you eat, for everything. Anything you can think of. You want to go have a beer or smoke a joint, somebody had to like brew that and grow it, you know? I mean, anything you can think of, we're dependent on other people. So it's a unified world, getting even more so by the technology that's coming out now, you know. But yeah, so wisdom includes a lot of other things. I say the wisdom, but that's like the love and compassion, like I said before, I think are wrapped in the same skin with wisdom. So it all ties together, you know.
So is there a quick fix for wisdom? How do I become wise? How do I turn knowledge into wisdom?
Well, experience is important. I think that, you know, what we were talking about before, getting to know yourself, just sitting down and breathing and not paying attention to all the external stuff that's going on around you, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes a day, is going to center you enough so you're going to be a little bit wiser, make better decisions. And it snowballs. I mean, one thing leads to another. Once you start making better decisions, you see that there are better results from those decisions. And the actions that you take produce better results. And it's the experience of having that happen that really instills it in you. I mean, book learning is wonderful. You know, it's great to read about stuff and to have an idea, but there's really no substitute for experiential knowledge. So once you start thinking a little bit more in a level and stable manner without all this like stress and schizo stuff going on around and trying to do 20 things at once, and you get a little bit more solid, start making better decisions that cause you to take better actions, and you see the better results that come from these actions, then you go, aha, all right, I see how this works here, you know.
So you've talked about marijuana a couple times.
Yeah.
Do you recommend that as a way to kind of, get you moving towards the direction, or any other sort of hallucinogenic drugs or something like that to kind of speed up the process of getting you aware of things?
No.
No?
No, I don't. I mean, I've done it. I smoked weed all my life pretty much for, like, I would say, as I started when I was 12 and I'm 62, so that's 50 years. I did all the other drugs. You can't think of a drug I haven't done. But I quit most of them about 1980. I got a lot more dead friends than live ones. The problem with the drug experience is there's a couple of problems. First of all, it could kill you. I mean, it's kind of like, especially depending on which drugs you do, it's kind of like putting rocket fuel in a moped. All right? If you put rocket fuel in a moped, it's going to be a little bit of a rough ride there, and you could very easily fly into a wall and disintegrate. All right, so that's one problem. Of course, we're not talking about weed here. That's an herb. But as far as all the harder drugs go, I certainly don't recommend them because I have literally died on them. And that's at one point when I was hanging out in Brooklyn, I had 14 friends used to hang out together. After a year and a half, there were 2 of us left alive.
Wow.
You know, so it's a very dangerous thing within that aspect. And also, it could, like anything else, I mean, it's like religion. It could get twisted different ways, you know. You could use it as an excuse for fucking up just the same as you can, like, use it as a vehicle to open up.
Sure.
So, I mean, that's pretty much up to the individual. I really wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't advise either for or against it. Just pretty much the same as with any religion, you know.
So, with your ideas on, individuality and the drug addictions and the dangers involved, would you support legalizing drugs and allowing individuals to choose whether or not to take that road?
Good question. Good question. I mean, I don't know if I can answer that because I'm almost for legalizing everything. You know,
Yeah.
so drugs would just be another thing. But yeah, that's a good question to which I haven't even bothered to formulate an answer. I mean, certain parts of that idea are very good, and certain parts of it have drawbacks, certainly. I think the proof is in the pudding. We can see in certain places like Netherlands, I think, that, you know, they have everything legal, and they have a lot less problem with it. I tell you one thing about drugs that's for certain is that this make-believe war on drugs that we have in America is a lot of bullshit. That part is nonsense. I mean, they had a make-believe war on drugs, and they're pumping all the drugs that you can think of on the television. It's like, don't do your drugs, do our drugs, you know, because we got tax on them. And then as soon as the drug commercial goes off, they got a lawyer come on and go, if you have done the drug in the last commercial, you may be able to take part in this class action suit, you know?
Sure.
So that basically I mean, the whole thing is so preposterous, not to mention the money that's wasted for locking up people who are getting high, not who are selling heroin to school kids, but people who are smoking a joint themselves. This is just an absurdity. It's, I think, an excuse to build up the police forces, and it's more of an economic measure. I mean, what used to be a prison system is now a prison industry. You know, it's a whole nother economic base. I mean, couldn't they take the fucking money and put it into fixing things instead of screwing things up?
So with these systems in motion, with the prison industry, with the drug industry, with the war on drugs, all these things in motion, what's your feelings on responsibility? If an individual gets caught up in these things, they're very self-absorbed. They're very into, you know, feeding on the propaganda and sucking off the teat of the state. Is that a product of this? You know, these industries, these people, these systems are against the individual and are enslaving them, or is that individual responsible for their own captivity?
Yeah, both. Both. I mean, the individual is always responsible for their own captivity, but at the same time, a lot of people have been thrown into a river and they can't see the banks. I mean, there's always a bank on either side of the river where you could swim out, go for a walk, go do something else. But a lot of people get thrown in and they're getting taken by the current, and they say, that's just the way it is. This is life. These are the conditions. That's the way the world works, and all such expressions. And they just get swept, and the whole fucking life gets swept away, gets washed down the river. This is one of the advantages to hallucinogens. It kicks you outside of the box. All right?
Sure.
There are certainly disadvantages, but I didn't notice them for, like, from the time I was 12 until I was 22. I did about 500 trips. And that, I have no doubt in my mind that it was acid that kicked me out of the box. Now, again, I'm not recommending it because there's the other side of it, which, you know, there are dangers there. And it's an individual decision. But for myself, I found that, and all this other esoteric stuff that I've looked into since. I mean, and a lot of people of my era, I mean, I don't know if it still happens that way, but if you were growing up in the 50s and 60s and early 70s, then that was your ticket to spirituality at the time. Because it wasn't until a lot of people started tripping that they started looking into, like, Alan Watts became popular, Barbara Ramdas, the Be Here Now book, and all of that kind of stuff that was popular at that time, followed very closely on the tail of people no longer taking for granted what they were fed by their parents, the schools, the churches, and all the rest. The stream that they were caught in, they realized finally that they weren't caught in it. and started looking to the left and to the right at some more esoteric stuff.
Yeah.
So definitely the acid had a very strong influence as far as that goes. Uh, Lost a couple, not too many to acid. There were a couple of people I know that just lost their cookies and never came back doing acid, but most of the people got through it okay, and actually benefited from it to the point where they were more open. But this kind of stuff leads to the other stuff. I mean, you could skip the acid, start with the meditation, and end up in a much more stable place without such a violent, like being thrown out of the box. You could like walk out of the box
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Was there ever a point in danger where you saw people get further out into the abyss by using hallucinogenics? Or to phrase it different, rather than breaking out of the box, did they go deeper in because of the drugs?
Yeah, yeah, there were a couple like that. There weren't two. Most of the people I know who died was on heroin, but there were a couple of people who just lost their minds. They couldn't, they got all schizo. Like there was two of them because there was this one person that was the ego reacting to the conditioned responses to this is just the way it is. That's the way life's supposed to be. And everything that all the institutions of the time were telling us. And there was the other part that was the kicked out of the box and seeing, a little bit more objectively and subjectively at the same time. Actually, it's a tricky one, that one. But they were seeing things from a different stance, from a different angle than the conventional view of reality. And some people just couldn't figure out that they were still just one person and these were two different views. There were a few people that got caught not being able to reel themselves in and thinking there were two of them.
Yeah.
And they were constantly arguing with themselves. You can, if you walk down the streets of New York, you could see a couple of them any day.
Yeah.
that are still doing that. Some of them, it has nothing to do with acid. It just has to do with societal pressures or the kind of upbringing that they had or whatever. But certainly the acid did that to a couple of people. A lot more people got through it productively, but some of them never figured out that schizophrenia is all in your mind.
A couple episodes ago, we had the owner of a flotation therapy center in Rochester, where we're broadcasting from. Have you ever had any experience in the sensory deprivation tank?
No, I never did that.
It sounded like kind of a cool way to get started in like meditating and finding, some sort of quiet space.
Yeah, it might well be. I mean, I've never done it, but of course I've heard of it. And it might well be a very good thing for that. It might be real similar to sitting in a dark room and just following your breathing. I mean, I don't know if you have to go in a tank. I guess if you're living in a big, busy place where it's almost impossible to get any kind of quiet, I mean, you live in a big city, even if you get up in the middle of the night, there's lights flashing and traffic and stuff, so maybe you need a sensory deprivation tank. But if you have, a place, even a room or a closet or something, you can go close yourself in. You can pretty much do that without the tank. I guess it would be an interesting experience. I can't say that because I've never done the tank. So, yeah, I guess it would be an interesting experience. I'll have to try that someday.
Do you ever get discouraged? I know you want to spread the wisdom and help people break out of their mold. We're so institutionalized as a society, and people are so deep in the propaganda. Do you sometimes find it discouraging when you try to give people this way out, open the door for them to walk, and they walk away from the light deeper back in the cave?
Yeah, I do. I think anybody who's human would, but you have to rise above it.
What helps you get? What are those? Do you have a story at the top of your mind, something that is really encouraging for you?
Something that's really encouraging?
Yeah, like the opposite. Rather than discouraging you, like when you meet this resistance that people have to breaking the mold and getting out of it, what would be the antithesis to that? What's an encouraging story, a success story?
Well, if you have a little patience, you run into a lot of them. I can't think of specific instances offhand, but I know that there were a lot of times when I've tried to talk sense to people and they just got all pissy and walked away because people are attached to their perceptions, and they don't realize that their perceptions are just that. They're just their perceptions. So people would get pissy and walk away, but then a year later they'd come back and they'd say, hey, that thing that you told me, well, about half a year ago I started doing that stuff and it helped me a lot. So there's a lot of, people are attached. You ever see that movie, The Matrix?
Yeah.
All right, well, the part where he's just training them in the beginning and he says, everybody in here could potentially be an agent or an enemy. And people are so attached to the system that we can't really unplug everybody yet. They're not ready for it. They'd crack. That's why they try to get people out of that system when they were younger. Because once you get so attached to your perceptions and so attached to your train of thought and your patterns and your conditioning, and ways of doing things and things that you take for granted, it gets quite a bit harder to pull out, which was the advantage of the LSD and peyote and mescaline and like that, because it just kicked you out of the box. It didn't give a fuck how attached you were to your little notions, Whereas meditation is a much more gradual process that will take you out slowly but surely. But you're bound to get discouraged at some point, just like every other human being in any endeavor, because nothing ever goes perfectly. But it's just a matter of rising above that, realizing that any setback is a temporary thing, and that if you have confidence and faith in what you're doing and you're pretty sure that it's the right thing, then you're going to continue with it. I mean, I'm sure anybody who's tried to play a musical instrument has had days where they just said, oh, this is ridiculous. I've been practicing for years. It still sounds like shit. I can't get that chord changed just right. Excuse me. And may not be able to, but go sit in a corner and breathe for a couple of minutes, relax, bring your blood pressure down, and then get back on the job. I mean, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm. So our time is almost up. I just want to make sure we get the information out there that needs to be out there. Your website, fearlesspuppy.org, spelled how it sounds.
Yeah.
Is there, if somebody, you have 2 books out now, if somebody wanted to start getting into your books, what would be a good one to start with if they just want to start reading the first one?
Well, that would depend. If they want more of entertainment, they're both pretty entertaining, actually, because it's all written from a Brooklyn point of view. So I try to take the concretization of symbols out, and a lot of stuff that's usually presented to us under like rusty metaphor, I try to put in plain language. So even reincarnation through common sense, which is the one that takes place actually in the Buddhist temple, and has a lot less of the sex and drugs and rock and roll in it. It's still entertaining, but that's a little bit more in a serious vein. Whereas in Fearless Puppy, a lot of the same points are made, but it's a rolling party.
Right.
And that's a rolling party, that one.
So that might be a little bit more entertaining, I guess?
Depending what somebody's looking for, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it might be a little bit more like a party, Fearless Puppy, that is. And the other one, though, I mean, if you're looking for more, like to get right to the meat of the issue and interested in Buddhist and Asian culture and stuff like that, then you'd want to do reincarnation first. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And there's links to those books. They're available on Amazon
They're available from CreateSpace, which is the print-on-demand thing for Amazon, right at the website. And if you buy them right from the website through CreateSpace, then the project makes even more dough. Or you can go right to Amazon and buy them there. The reviews are on Amazon. There are also like a few sample chapters from each book at the website. So if people aren't sure which book they want to get first, they can look at the sample chapters, and that might help them decide which way to go.
And they're both available as a digital book, so
you
can get that as well on the website, fearlesspuppy.org. There's contact information, the email address, 10@fearlesspuppy.org, and then you got your Twitter. Do you contact people on Twitter? Is that something that you want given out? Or?
Yeah, you can give it out. I got 3 Facebook pages too.
Okay.
There's Doug Rose, the person, and not the author. I don't know why that author page is up there, but I never use it. And there's one group pages for each book. There's a group page for Fearless Puppy on American Road, and there's a group page for Reincarnation Through Common Sense. Also on LinkedIn and Google Plus and all of those networky things. It'd be hard to look around and not find me, to tell you the truth.
So kind of just start at fearlesspuppy.org, and then you'll find the links to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and all where to buy the books and things like that, all on your website. And we'll have it on our website too, so people can find us.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for talking to us today, 10 Rose. So we appreciate you talking to us.
The pleasure's mine. It's been a privilege, and I thank you for the opportunity. It's been loads of fun.
All right. Have a good Memorial Day.
Thank you. You too, man.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Be well.
There we go.
Our first successful Skype interview.
You are first.
Our first.
My second.
Your second.
I'm more experienced now.
Be gentle.
I feel experienced. That's good. He's a funny guy.
He is.
Interesting fellow.
There's a guy that doesn't afraid of anything.
No, he's not. We were talking about chants and stuff, and I wanted to play it. I don't want to play it when he was here, but one of my favorite chants. I have a favorite chant. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening. She's probably not. But I have a favorite chant. It's called the Lotus Sutra, and I'm going to play this. It's going to blow your mind.
Oh, here we go.
Everybody get ready. Get your yoga mats out. Get ready to meditate. No, not gonna. Hopefully it's not too loud. And there's no ad before it. There we go. And then imagine that for 9 minutes.
So this is supposed to be relaxing?
I don't know if that one's supposed to be relaxing.
I feel like there's a fight about to go down. Maybe it's because of Akira fighting the clowns.
Yeah.
Not familiar with the song.
In the movie Akira?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I haven't seen it in a while.
Very similar mantra going on in the background.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the trailer for that? They're making a live action version of that.
What?
Oh, I'm gonna play it.
Ooh.
It's like a fan made film though.
Oh.
So it's not like a real one, but it's still really good. Like it I don't know. It looks like it should become something. Sorry, people listening, you can't see this, but you can listen to it.
You look it up yourself.
There's an ad. Don't listen.
No.
I can skip in 4 seconds.
3, 2, 1. Oh, that's good.
World Cup's coming. Get ready for it. I watched this the other day, and I like it. Cineground. I'm going to narrate for the people who can't see, for the blind. There's an eyeball. It's the trailer for the live-action version of the movie Akira, which was an anime made in the 80s, I believe. Late 80s or mid-80s. Which is it's a good one. Look it up. At least the guys in the movie are actually Asian. It's not like Dragon Ball Z, which is the white guy. He threw him some pills.
You guys ready? Last one there picks up the check.
Doesn't look good so far. Like, that's a fan-made film.
It's pretty outstanding.
Try with you, Tetsu, if you want to live forever.
Genetically modified people. Thanks, Obama. Is this entertaining for the radio people?
We have to take him now.
Does it make a
becomes
time?
another
I just want to just hear background music. Maybe they're still in the live mode.
Go to the bathroom. Come back in a couple minutes. We'll be done.
You can just look up the video and watch it.
Yeah. Use your audience participation. Superman. Is this Superman? He's right there. Doesn't really tell you much about the movie, but
It's kind of like The Breakfast Club, but it followed the high school students for genetically modified weapons.
right.
Yeah.
There's still 2 minutes left in this video. I wonder what happens after this.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's a nice background music. It's a nice bed for our discussion on the movie. I don't know. I'm probably not going to do that. Okay. Oh, I got an email.
Ooh.
So, that's it. Doug came in and talked to us. That was good. Doug 10. Learned a lot of good stuff. I like the guy. I'd like to have him on again sometime.
Seems like a likable guy.
He's a likable guy. I like him.
Not what I imagine when you say, hey, this guy's a heroin addict and almost died. It's
Right.
not really what I picture.
Well, we don't know what he looks like still. So,
No, still don't. It's a
yeah.
mystery.
It's a mystery. So before we leave, I want to take care of some business.
Nothing personal.
Some business. We got some relationships out there with other podcasts in the universe. This one's actually in New York, so the New York universe. And I want to do a little promotion for them because they've been nice enough to do a little for us. So I'm going to play their 30-second promo for their podcast. I recommend you guys check it out if you're interested in what they podcast about. Even if you're not, give them a couple downloads, give them a subscribe, give them a share, give them a review. Just help them out because they're doing some good stuff over there and they're helping us out. So I'm going to play that in about 30 seconds. So here we go.
Ready, go.
Steven, do you like dirt modifieds and sprint cars?
I sure do, Clint, but I like full fenders and late models too. Whoa. What about the super modifieds up at the Steel Palace? You can find all of those and more with driver interviews on the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, released weekly on YouTube.com, Podbean.com, and on iTunes. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter at Turn 5 Podcast. Turn 5 is a proud partner of Race Chaser Online and Speed 77 Radio. Search Turn 5 Racing Podcast.
There you go. They talk about racing. There's a big racing community in the Western New York area. They got Watkins Glen,
Sure.
which is a NASCAR road course. Lots of small racing around the area. When you're looking for a Turn 5 podcast, it's the number 5. So the number 5 podcast. So make sure you actually write the number 5. Or not write the number 5. Just hit the 5 button on your keyboard. Stop making this complicated.
Yeah, use voice activated.
Jeez, guys.
Come on.
So that's going to be it for us. We're going to end the show with a song Get ready to sing. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
No, don't sing.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it was a trap. It's a trap.
That's a trap.
You've been trapped.
Oh.
Haha. I have a friend out of Florida who's got a band. No, it's not my friend. He paid me to promote him. Just kidding.
They didn't pay me.
No, just me. Who do you think you are? A band called Cold Side, which is kind of a hardcore band. I'm going to play that after our exit music, just in case you guys don't want to listen to it. You guys can just end. Because it's not for everybody. I'll be the first to admit. Not my favorite song. But I do like the guy a lot, Tony, out of Florida. What up, Tone? He's a good guy. So I'm going to play this for him. Check out, they got a website somewhere. I don't know what it is. But they have a Facebook page. I'm guessing it's facebook.com. Oh, that's not it. Just go to Google. Put in Cold Side Band. Spelled how it sounds. And you'll find them. They're doing a European tour, doing all that fun stuff. They actually got signed to a label, so they're doing really well. So I'm going to play that for the guy Tony, my main man Tony, T-Tone out of Florida State, Flow Rider in the house. But we're going to do our close, say our goodbyes. Anything you want to tell anybody out there, Mark?
Go to our page. Check it out.
Go to our page.
See our past episodes.
Do it.
Leave us some feedback.
Make it happen.
Tell us what's awesome and also what's more awesome.
Yeah. Don't give any negative stuff because I will
Never.
find you.
No.
I have a particular set of skills.
We are not objective. Purely subjective.
No, don't tell me bad things. I like good things. So that's going to be it for us. And, you guys get to hear our new extra. Is it called an extra?
Extraction?
The end thing.
Outro?
Outro. That sounds good. I like that. So here we go. Thanks, guys, for listening. Stay safe out there.
Question everything.
Thanks for listening to M&M Question Everything. Please don't forget to rate, review, share, and subscribe. Visit question-everything.net. And if you can, click the donate button to support the show. Thanks again. And don't forget to question everything. This has been a Portsmouth studio production.
Searching for ocean, looking for ocean. Now it's money, the pain is asking. And in the souls that are just like us, give everything you got, everything you got. We have an army of elected, and we can't be stopped. Wait, must fight to stay. Let's stay this way. Must fight and remain. I'm all who can, but never around to woman. You better stand in line, stand in line, and protect their number. Something you lost so far. But just as plain as you can see, we never turn away, never turn away. We'll take us out from the street and fight another day. Wait, must fight to stay. Let's stay this way. We'll fight and remain. I'm going in. Down behind. It's like they say. Doesn't matter 'cause we never listen anyway. We've heard it all 1,000 times.